Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Partick Thistle, Aberdeen and Celtic provide the players for the Premiership Team of the Season. McInnes pays tribute to the Dons Player of the Year. Kashinya says there's a bright future at Rangers. So much to talk about and lots to look ahead to as far as football across all four divisions in Scotland this weekend. We'll also have a look at the Premier League in England with our main man down there, Ian McGarry. And we'll be speaking to a Kilmarnock fan ahead of their match against Dundee. All in the company of Alan Ruff, and as ever on a Friday, our boot-room guest from the Daily Mail is Hugh MacDonald. So there's the lineup. Let's look first of all at the back pages of the papers to get a flavour of what the headlines were this morning. In the Daily Record, we didn't wind up Gers fans. This is, of course, the story from Lee Griffiths replying to the suggestion that it was the Celtic players to blame for some of the conduct of Rangers fans. Also, £650,000 a week on offer for Diego Costa in China. And The Sun, again referencing the story regarding the 5-1 win for Celtic at Ibrox, and Pedro Kashinya in the paper saying he's looking for real men to play for Rangers next season. And the Daily Mail, the main picture is, of course, Marcus Rashford scoring a fantastic goal in their 1-0 win away to Celta Vigo. So that's the back page headlines, some of them alarming. I mean, the suggestion that the players are to blame for the conduct of fans is gobsmackingly outrageous, Ruffy.
Yeah, I have to say there's a large number of fans out there, not all of them, for 90 minutes are just throwing abuse at players on the park, and then when it's turned the other way, they start blaming the players. No, I think when you go to a football game, there's always a bit of banter going about, and it doesn't matter where you are, what ground you're at. I mean, I'm sure if the Rangers players were at Parkhead, I mean, I think they did celebrate when it was they scored late on with the boy Hill. They went to their supporters and celebrated, and quite rightly so. And when you come up against your rivals, I mean, to win, you know, that with that amount of goals, you're going to celebrate. It doesn't happen that often.
To strike a balance on this one, Hugh, there are situations which the police warn many a player ahead of any volatile game about their conduct, because there are certain instances where you can incite a riot, violence, but overall people have to be responsible in any area for their conduct.
In life, you are responsible for what you do. That is it. I mean, there's no way. I mean, I always, found it really distressing that people would say, "Oh, it's terrible. It's Rangers and Celtic." After a Rangers Celtic game, domestic abuse and domestic violence goes up, and you go, "Wait a minute. That's to do with people who perpetrate domestic violence." It's just. I think it's an absolute get-out clause for people. I actually don't think that the Celtic fan. I mean, people say, what's his name, Scott Sinclair, rushed over to the Rangers fans. Well, if he didn't rush over the Rangers fans, if he didn't celebrate the goal, he'd have rushed 100 yards up the park, because that's the only place there was Celtic fans. He didn't leave the field of play. He didn't run behind the goal. He ran to the side and they celebrated it. But let's be a bit grown up about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's be grown up about Diego Costa. I love the fact that some English pundits are worried about this offering players big money to come to the league, to the detriment of everyone else. I can hear the cock crow 3 times on that one, Ruffy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's the way it is now. When you come, these big players, when they come to the end of their career, they're looking at money. That is it, be all and end all. Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to say I don't get it. I do get it, but I keep saying to myself, how many millions do you want? Surely you want to play at top football. You want to be playing in Champions League finals. I know what you're going to say.
Hold on. Wait a minute. I'll take that from anybody, but not from you.
What I'm saying is, if I'm sitting with 100 million in the bank, I don't see any reason why I have to go to China and play. I want to be at a team that I'm going to get medals and go to Champions League.
But the only reason Costa is at Chelsea is because of money. I mean, Costa didn't wake up in the barrios of Brazil and go, one day I want to play for Chelsea. He came to Chelsea because Chelsea were winning him, and quite rightly so, Peter.
Hugh.
£3 million a month. Come on.
Let me tell you this right now. If I had said to Ruffy,
Oh, God. Ruffy.
I've put 100 million in your bank, the Peter and Ruffy show, it's been great, and then, you know, China ESPN comes and offers him 300 million. Ruffy, vroom, on the plane, Beijing. Hello, it's great to be here. That's all I'm saying to you, Hugh.
And with not a goodbye. I'll tell you another thing. He'd be away with his Peter and Ruffy car as well. He wouldn't give that back. He wouldn't give that back to the sponsors. Be away with that as well.
You're absolutely right.
Chancer.
Exactly, in a nutshell. There are certain questions where I think, why am I asking him that? Anyway, the other point I was, that's a good, who else said charlatan? That was in one of the things this year in the story of the season, a charlatan. The other point I was going to make to you, you know how you get these messages that tell you something's live on Facebook or whatever, or Twitter. I got that, an alert for Aberdeen, so I thought I'd join in last night. And I have to say, full marks to everyone who went to the Aberdeen Player of the Year awards, because it must have been 25 minutes before they eventually got to start the thing, because they introduced all the players individually onto the stage, and I thought, wow, that takes some doing, Ruffy. Just one at a time that we're on, you know.
No, I think that's good, you know, because as we all know, any particular club, there is only 3 or 4 players who get the limelight. So why? It's a team game, so at the end of it, why shouldn't the team be up on the stage?
Yeah, that's always worrying when everybody's going Johnny Hayes, and then you get to somebody that's not so well known, hooray, well done, and then, you know, apathy kicks in. It's a bit worrying. Anyway, what I have to say is...
Welcome to my life.
Yeah, absolutely, Hugh. I've got to say that Aberdeen, they're away to, of course, Hearts on Sunday, but it was the Player of the Year awards, and getting the awards was indeed Andy Considine. Now, Andy, I can't begrudge him it. He deserves it. He's been, you know, your steady Eddie. You're 8 out of 10, and in some cases, when he scores a hat trick, he gets 10 out of 10. So full marks, and a great lad, and well done to him for getting their Player of the Year.
I think a great magic, because especially people who watch clubs, you know, week in, week out, will know the consistency of a player. And they'll know another thing as well, they'll know how near the player is playing to their top level. And everybody's top level is different. So, as a matter of fact, Messi's top level is different from obviously Andy Considine's, but they'll know that Andy Considine's putting a shift every week and he's played to his top level, so good on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's what the Aberdeen manager Derek McInnes had to say about their Player of the Year.
Team of the Year for the SPL, you would probably see Lewis and Logans and you know, likes of Shinnie, McLean, Jacks, you know, Rooney, Hayes, McGinn, all these prominent players, but I think Considine, Big Andy, is one that's really appreciated by everyone within the club, players and supporters alike, staff. So fantastic for him, and I think it's been a really strong year for Andy. He's had his testimony here already. He's in all-time top 10 appearances for the club, so he's been a pivotal figure, and now some people get recognition a wee bit later in their careers, and I think Andy's one of those.
Yeah, nice words from Derek McInnes on Andy Considine. Of course, the young Player of the Year was Ryan Christie. I thought that was a surprise, Ruff. He wasn't there that long.
No, that is a surprise, isn't it? No. You know, but we all know the boy's got a lot of quality, but I don't think he's been there long enough.
And he hasn't played that often. He's not been a regular in the team. There's actually a wee doubt about, you know, should he really be on loan there, because he wasn't getting, you know, the opportunities I thought he would get. Yeah,
and of course, goal of the season was James Maddison's that late winner against Rangers in the 2-1 victory. This is what the Aberdeen manager had to say about the awards, including, of course, a lot of Aberdeen players in the team of the season, which we'll discuss shortly.
It's good to see our club quite prominent amongst all the awards. You know, I think it's always a fair reflection of how other people view you, and you know, I think we've as a team over the last few seasons, we've always had a real nucleus of players in the Team of the Year. Nominations for Player of the Year is obviously the Manager of the Year nomination as well. Delighted with that. So I think it's important that we continue to do that, and I think this season some people might have thought that Aberdeen would become less relevant, and I think we've been as prominent as previous years, which is really pleasing.
I think they become more prominent, Hugh, because people were critical of them when they dipped last season. Just briefly on it, McInnes deserves praise as well. He's a nominee for Manager of the Year.
Yes, and it deserved, and the big game for them for all season was winning against Hibs That was really crucial. So now they're absolutely second best team in Scotland, second in the league. They've been second in the League Cup and they're up to be first in the Scottish Cup.
Okay, we're going to give you a little question. We're going to test these guys and your knowledge with this quiz question. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV2. Hugh MacDonald is with Alan Ruff and myself, Peter Martin. We've been discussing Aberdeen and the awards that they handed out last night. And of course, Derek McInnes in line for Manager of the Year. He's one of the nominees at Sunday's PFA Scotland Player of the Year Awards at the Hilton in Glasgow. Ahead of that, the team of the season has been announced. Let's have a look at the 11 players. Only one player out with Celtic and Aberdeen, and that's Liam Lindsay, Ruffy, from Partick Thistle, and great credit to him.
Yeah, it's fantastic for a young boy. You know, we sit here year on year now talking about where is our new centre-halves coming for the Scotland team. And he certainly is coming on leaps and bounds. And I think, obviously, the more experience he gets, but that is tremendous for I mean, usually it's don't get many Partick Thistle support players getting nominated or Kilmarnock or whatever, so it just shows you how much the boys come on.
How impressed were you by him? Do you think he's a future Scotland international?
Yeah, I think when he came in initially he was very immature obviously, but now I think he sorted himself out, or Alan Archibald sorted him out, and he looks a mature player. I still think obviously he's still a young lad, he's got a lot to offer, but now I think these are the kind of guys that we should be looking at. I think these are the guys we should be looking at in the future. They should be given maybe a B international or something like that, a friendly, and let's see what they can do. Because as you say, I thought he was awkward when he came into the team at first when I was watching, but you could see that if Alan Archibald's putting him into the team, you know, given Alan Archibald's pedigree, you know, he's obviously he watched something and saw something in the kid, but as the season went on, I've been really impressed with him.
Yeah, any arguments with any of the other players there? All the key players, Kenny McLean's in there, Johnny Hayes you can't argue with as well, Shea Logan too.
Yeah, I just wonder if the Celtic centre halves of Simonovic and Boyata might feel a wee bit aggrieved. I mean, Lustig gets in there presumably to accommodate Shea Logan, you know.
Yeah.
And
it is the players who vote for
exactly,
things, yeah.
and I wouldn't have any arguments. They're allowed to make their own judgments.
And what do you make of the manager nominees? I mean, we mentioned Derek McInnes, Jim Duffy's in there, Brendan Rodgers also, and of course Alan Archibald.
See, I think that, I've always said this, I think the standard of coaching in Scotland is really high. I think there's been a lot of good managers this season. You could go through the Championship and come up with 4 or 5 managers who've had a great season. I'm thinking, you know, people that nobody would mention, like Stevie Aitken and Dumbarton, etc.
Dick Campbell.
I mean, go down the leagues.
Yeah.
You could find. So I've got no qualms at all about the nominations there. I just think that we always try and look for, you know, I think people not to give it to the champions, you know, the manager that wins everything because Celtic and or Rangers have the biggest budget. But I think Rodgers is
and the winner.
Rodgers for me. For you.
Yeah.
What do you wish you?
I'm Rodgers as well.
Yeah, but do you think Neil Lennon will feel slightly peeved that he's not in that Final Four?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why he should as well, because the pressure on Neil Lennon at the beginning of the season would be simple. Get us up. And he won the Championship, and he won it cosily, and they were unlucky in the Cup semi-final against Aberdeen. I thought they were genuinely unlucky that day. So he could have got, you know, it's could have, would have, should have, but I think Neil Lennon's done a really good job at Hibs this season. Yeah,
I don't think you'll get too many arguments with Brendan Rodgers, and of course Celtic in action against St Johnstone. Lee Griffiths gets another chance to impress as the games whittle down towards the Scottish Cup final, and the number 9 has been singing the praises of the manager.
I think his man management skills are exceptional. You know, he's different to what I've had before. You know, he's very straight down the line. He'll tell you if you're not playing and why you're not playing. But I think, you know, his attention to detail and everything that we do, you know, from the first day that he came in, you know, he wanted to change the club, he wanted to change the way we were. I think you've seen that from the start of the season. You know, we've progressed as a team, we've grown stature, and you know, we're just showing everybody what we're all about now. Like I say, just his attention to detail, you can tell why he's been at, you know, big clubs in England, especially at Liverpool. You know, and why everybody was so keen to bring him here. I think after, you know, the first few months, especially getting us into the Champions League, everybody was trying to see obviously what his philosophy was and what he was trying to do. But now, you know, you're seeing our football on the pitch, it's breathtaking at times, and you know, it's the only way we're going to go is forward.
Yep, Lee Griffiths, he's got to try and score as many goals as he possibly can, Ruffy, before I think Dembele will be available for selection for the cup final.
Yeah, but I think the good thing about this is 2 years ago he wouldn't have reacted the way he's reacted. He's buckled down. You know, he's obviously not the number one. And 2 years ago he'd have probably maybe did something stupid, but now he's responsible enough to know, right, I'll just wait my time. I'll just wait my time and prove to you that I can score as many goals as what he can. And that's what he's doing. And that's the benefit that Celtic are getting at him. He's more mature now, he's accepting, he's listening to what everybody's saying, and he's scoring goals, which is all he wants to do.
And we know Brendan Rodgers can change his mind. He can be flexible. I mean, Dorius de Vries was signed as the #1 goalkeeper. And it's, you know, Craig Gordon was more or less, that's it. And he changed his mind over that. We know in other areas of the team he's changed his mind about players as well. I mean, changed his mind about centre-halves. He's brought Bayata back into the team very successfully. I think Dembele, if Dembele's fit, just the way the team is set up as well, if Dembele's fit, he starts for me.
Yeah.
But Lee Griffiths if Lee Griffiths has got the chance to make a good case, and I think Rodgers is flexible enough to listen to a good case.
Well, he knows there's one medal that's missing from his collection, and quite a few of the players are letting him know about it as well. He wants to be there in the Scottish Cup final.
Unfortunately, Musa got injured, and that's how I've got my chance. But you know, it happened earlier on in the season when I was injured, and Musa came in and stepped up to the plate. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next few games that I'm going to get under my belt, and hopefully I can repay a manager with a few goals, and you know, look forward. I'm sick of getting tortured for Scott, Craigie and Hendo. They're you know, we sit at the front of the bus on away games or come to home games, and you know, they're always winding me up saying, "Oh, put your hands up if you won the Scottish Cup," and I'm sitting there with my hands on my arse. So I think, you know, hopefully it's third time lucky for me. You know, like I say, I've been humiliated twice, and it wasn't a nice feeling. But you know, I've got a great chance this season to go one step further and, you know, get that treble.
Yeah, there's Davy Moyes when you need him. He should have got a slap there for swearing. I'm not happy about it. Anyway, one other little piece that linked to Celtic, which concerns Sebs, and I think they'll be wondering about it. I mentioned it to you a couple of weeks ago, Ruffy. Story this morning about Celtic being linked with John McGinn. I don't see it being too far away from them.
No, if that's again, you know, if that's the way Celtic are going, identifying young players and bringing them in and giving them a chance over the 2 or 3 years. Certainly he looks as if he is maturing again, you know, into the Scotland team, wasn't fazed by it at all. And obviously if they can see something that they can develop there and add some more things to his game, yeah, why wouldn't you? I don't know, what price would we be talking about here?
$1.5 million?
1.5 million, yeah. I mean, in the scale of things, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Just briefly go back to the Griffiths thing.
Yeah.
If Dembele declares himself fit for the Scottish Cup final and he's fit, who plays?
Well, let me offer my tuppence worth, and Hugh, you can jump in here as well on this. If Lee Griffiths scores in every game from now until the tail end, Dembele comes on as a sub.
I think if Griffiths scores 3 goals in every game from now and then, Dembele starts.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think Griffiths has really got to do very well to keep Dembele out of the team. Brendan Rodgers, every time he's had to make a choice, he's went strong for Dembele, and I don't think it's even about goals. I think he likes Dembele in the team because of what he does for the team.
Hold on a minute. 2 minutes ago you just said, oh, you know, his mind can be changed.
His mind can be changed, but if you're asking me about no, I think his mind could be changed in Dembele as well. Honestly, I do, but I just think it's really unlikely. I just think he's so strong on Dembele for what he gives. I think the first goal at Hampden against Rangers, the Callum McGregor goal, what Dembele did then, I think that's what that Rodgers likes.
Okay, will St Johnstone be the team to end Celtic's unbeaten run domestically? Well, according to Brian Easton, the real goal for the Saints players is not ending Celtic's run, it's making sure they've got fourth and possibly hunting down Rangers.
We're at a 6 point gap. It is really difficult. It'd be great if we went into the last game of the season with giving ourselves the opportunity to catch them, you know. But it is hard, and I think, you know, our main focus is obviously on just making sure we get that fourth place, because it's pretty much the same. Well, it's third or fourth in terms of European qualification. But as I said, it'd be great to be able to catch them the last day. But we'll concentrate on fourth before we look too far ahead.
I think they've had a great season, Robbie. I think the manager deserves praise, and so many of the players again.
Yeah, and again, you know, away from home, they're so strong, and they will go to Parkhead, and they will, you know, put up a show, because their manager knows how to defend properly, and he knows when to take their chances.
Okay, this is what we call our little half-time cup of tea. You'll get a quick update in the news, we'll have a wee short break, and then we'll be back for the second part of the programme, where we'll hear from Pedro Caixinha on the targets that he's mentioned to the Rangers board. We'll get his take on that and who wants to stay and who goes. I wonder if you're any closer to getting the answer to our question. Thanks for joining us once again on Peter and Ruffy's Football Show after that short break. Hugh MacDonald still with us here alongside Alan Ruff. Let's switch our attention to a game that takes place on the Sunday. It's Partick Thistle against Rangers. We've been singing the praises of Thistle's Liam Lindsay for getting into the team of the year. Of course, the Rangers fans will be wondering, will there be Rangers players in next season's team of the year? They'll be certainly hoping that Pedro Caixinha can work his magic in the summer transfer window. This is what the Rangers manager had to say, first of all, about the budget to buy players.
Yesterday we held a meeting, a technical staff meeting with all the boards, with all the departments of the club. And I just can tell you that I'm very confident about it. So we present our players' plan, and I'm really, really happy and confident regarding to that, because I know that the things are getting in that direction, and is a realistic one in order to bring what we need according to our assessment, and that make me very happy regarding to the future.
It's going to be a big summer for him. He's got a wish list, he's presented it to them, now they have to deliver.
Yeah, but I think the biggest problem is most of these players that are there are on 2 and 3 year contracts, very good 2 and 3 year contracts, and I can't see any of them, you know, get anything better than what they're on just now. So that is going to be a big problem, because every time we come to a transfer window and we get managers talking about who do you want to bring in, the first thing they say is, well, I need to get 2 out to bring 2 in. You know, I can't add to the wages, I need to get 2 out. So it depends how many he moves out. As far as I'm concerned, is how many he brings in. It's okay, I'm having a list of, say, right, I want to bring in 7 or 8 players, but the first thing that the board's going to say is, well, wait a minute, we can't put another 7 wages onto what we've got there now, because we already know that they're not making ends meet by taking soft loans. So that, for me, that is the first problem, is getting people out the door.
Well, I think the main issue here, Hugh, is if they are going to recruit players, who's recruiting them? Is it the director of football, who still hasn't arrived there yet? Over and above that, who is actually providing the money? Is it the fans with their season tickets? Or is it money, fresh money, that's going to be put in vast amounts to allow Pedro Caixinha to build a team that the Rangers fans want to challenge? I
thought a lot of this would have been addressed this week. I thought the opportunity after the thumping of last week of Rangers by Celtic, I thought it was an opportunity for, you know, somebody in the board, Dave King, you know, most specifically, to come out and to come up with a mission statement. This is where the club is going. This is what's going to happen. Stick by us. Keep believing. You know, we can go. And the silence has been different. I mean, that's just. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just rhetoric from Pedro Caixinha. I hope for the Rangers fans' sake that it comes to pass. But there's so many questions still have. A, where's the money? B, who are you going to move out? C, where are these players coming from? D, you haven't got a scouting department, so who's scouted them? So are they going to be Portuguese and Mexican players?
Well, I would question. I would maybe take you to task on the fact that he clearly does have scouts in the sense that every manager has people who will tip him off about certain players. And reading between his press conference lines, he has mentioned the fact that he will look to players that are already there that he thinks have got pass marks. He will then say to somebody, the others, I don't want them there, get them out the door. So that's somebody else's job. Usually it would be a director of football, we all know that. He's not there yet. But he also mentioned the fact that he's going to go to players that he knows. So, as we mentioned, when he arrived on the doorsteps of Ibrox, all managers look to players that they've trusted in the past. So I expect a couple of Portuguese players to come in. You expect a couple that are tried and trusted. But I still think the big unanswered question is, where is that money coming from, and is it going to be enough to satisfy Rangers fans who are clearly peeved with what they've witnessed over the last couple of weeks?
Well, that's what Hugh's saying. That there will be lots of Rangers supporters out there asking the same questions that we're asking, and the first thing they'll be saying now, because there isn't anybody coming out and giving them any direction, would be, right, before I buy my season ticket, I want to know what's happening here. I don't want a figure put on it, because the last figure of 30 million was pie in the sky. That just would. But these supporters who are really putting in heavy cash for the last 2 or 3 years will want some lead, and that's why I keep saying the first 2 signings that come through that door are going to determine the route that Rangers are going down.
And remember, you're talking about pass marks, and we'll keep them. Who's got pass marks? Fotheringham, Kenny Miller, obviously. I think you maybe Tavernier you would keep.
You definitely keep the captain. I mean, you definitely keep
You'll
Lee
keep
Wallace.
Definitely.
Definitely.
There's an awful lot.
Well, there's quite a few that I think the back line needs to be addressed majorly at the centre half area. I think the whole midfield could be restructured easily because
what are they worrying about?
No leaders.
It looks as if he doesn't fancy the boy Mackay, who was their best player, and all of a sudden he's came in, and for some reason maybe doesn't fit into the team. But he seems to be surplus.
Yeah, and to be perfectly honest with you, I think they could easily do with 2 strikers over and above Kenny Miller.
Oh, absolutely.
Over and above Kenny Miller.
I mean, he's not got a striker apart from Kenny Miller. And the other thing is the midfield. If you look through the midfield, to try and make a case, you try and do your Perry Mason, the case for the defence and with the midfield. There's not many there that you would see even with pass marks, in my opinion, and the best of them are on loan.
Well, I was going to say sometimes the judgment can be made a little bit easier by the fact that they'll be going back to their parent clubs. You can give us your thoughts on that at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter, facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. You can also join us over the weekend on Saturday, 2 o'clock. Join us in STV2, 4 hours. We'll keep you up to date with all the goals as they hit the back of the net. Action throughout the afternoon, of course, reaction to the goals and interviews as well, and reporters at the key games. OK, from there, let's move on to some of the other games. Motherwell against Ross County. Motherwell, well, Keith Lasley just mentioned that they've just got to try and engineer themselves away. Thinks team spirit is going to be the key to that. Ross County, I think the general consensus from the players and the manager is one more win, and they're in the Premiership next season again.
I think fear would be the driving force, because most of these players were in the playoffs the last time, and we start talking about families, we start talking about salaries, we start talking about where do you go if you, and again they're going to have to face that again. So I think that would be the driving force for them to do well. But unfortunately, they're hitting a Ross County team who have come into a bit of form, and particularly one guy in particular who is scoring goals for fun, so they'll have to be up to it.
And the Ross County team as well, who might be quite loose, or certainly looser, more relaxed.
Well, I don't think Jim McIntyre wants to lose Liam Boyce. He's certainly going to try and dig his heels in until the figure gets to the point where Roy McGregor says yes. But this is the county boss on the game against Motherwell.
Motherwell versus Dundee, and Motherwell played well, especially first half when they controlled large parts of it. But and there was a key decision that's went against them as well, you've got to say, which would have gave them a point. But we know we're going to be facing a team that we've struggled against this season, and it's up to us to try and make sure that we get that positive result that we need.
Okay, tough one to call. Who wins it?
I think it is a tough one. I'd probably sit on the fence in that one each.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, okay. Inverness County Thistle against Hamilton. Is this the weekend when everybody starts looking at Thistle and, you know, basically says prepare for the championship?
Yeah, this is the game. You know, obviously if they don't take 3 points out of this one, you know, it is, because if they get 3 points, they'll still be looking at the points that are available. It's still a hard task. It depends on everybody else that's going to decide where they're going, but they really need to win tomorrow.
Yeah, Richie Foran has consistently talked about passion, hunger. He wants them to be aggressive. I think a lot of that, a lot of these qualities are what Richie had in abundance as a player. I'm not too sure he's got that in abundance, you know, in the starting 11.
No, I just think that they just haven't been good enough all season. This isn't a slump or in. They just don't win games. Curiously, I think they might win tomorrow. I think they might win. Yeah, I think they might, but I think they're down. It's like it's one of these good news, bad news jokes. I think they could get a result tomorrow, but I think they're down.
Yeah, are we at the point where we've nailed our colours to the mast with the playoff? Are you still sticking to Hamilton like you have for the last 4 years?
Yeah, I'm still sticking to Hamilton. I think they'll be in the playoffs. But again, you know, I was astounded when Gordon told us their away record in the league this year, which was absolutely, I couldn't believe that. But no, I think they'll be in the mix. But again, same old thing. If they take something for tomorrow, if they would go up there and win as they have done before, you know, they'll be safe.
Yeah, have you got a team that's in the playoff? Is it Hamilton for you?
Hamilton, Inverness, and I think that's been pretty strong for me all season. I put Kilmarnock in the mix at one point. I think another way, I think almost forgotten stories how well Kilmarnock have done. And because you've got to remember, before Christmas, everybody was saying, you know, they're the club in trouble on and off the park, and they're not now.
Yeah, absolutely. I tipped them for the drop. But they have confounded us, and Lee McCulloch has got them well away from the danger area. We will discuss Kilmarnock Dundee. We'll be delving into the championship. We'll hear from the Hibs camp. We'll also hear from John Hughes in a familiar position outside the training ground. And we'll hear from Ian McGarry looking at the Premier League, as well as Ruffy and myself in the fantasy football battle. You happy with that? Are you happy with that, Hugh? You nailed it. You nailed it early on.
Then you kept telling me on the road
55 minutes ago.
Yeah, Zinedine Zidane. I wonder if you managed to get that correct. Well, some amount of honours he's won.
Yeah, what a player though as well. There's a great film with music by, I think, called Mogwai, which is just him playing on the park, and he's such a beautiful, fluid mover, a big man that could move. Fantastic. One of my regrets has not been at that European Cup final at Hampden.
Oh, it was fantastic. Absolutely magnificent. And of course, two brothers who actually turned up there, who had actually played at a European Cup final yet never got a medal, Hugh.
The De Boers?
No, the Proclaimers.
Oh,
I cannot believe such a good question. You know, I gave that to the Proclaimers one night, and I had them there for 10 minutes. They went through everybody, the Charlton brothers, the Gray brothers, everybody, and I said it was you two, and they were raging, by the way. They weren't happy about it. Anyway, Killie against Dundee. Here's what Neil McCann has had to say about it. Of course, he's in. They've got a win under their belt, and now what does he expect for them against Kilmarnock?
Told every single player what I expect and what I want from them, and it's not about just trying to get away. So everybody will have the same mindset again come Saturday in the weekend's fixtures. So we have to approach Kilmarnock with absolutely respect the job that Lee McCulloch's done, because he's done a fantastic job with Peter leaving, and the players look as if they're with him, and they'll have the same opinion as what I've got, that they have to earn the right, and they do. So this will be a tough game. But we've put ourselves in a better position than what we were last weekend, and that's all it is.
Yeah, you still got a job to do.
Absolutely. I mean, that was step one, though, was very important last week. You know, to get that kind of reaction from the players, and most importantly, Peter, to get that 3 points, just absolutely crucial. I can see them getting something at Rugby Park.
Yeah, okay, here are the fixtures to look forward to in the Premiership over the course of the weekend for us. 4 on the Saturday, and of course on the Sunday it's Partick Thistle Rangers and Hearts against Aberdeen. We will have more previews on those 2 games on tomorrow's programme at 2 o'clock. Here's the Championship for you to look forward to. We're going to discuss some of the games in there. Dumbarton Falkirk, Hibs St Mirren, Morton Dundee United, Queen of the South Dunfermline and Wraith Rovers against Ayr United. And with that in mind, of course, the games, the 2 games in particular, Hibs against St Mirren, I just wonder, Ruffy, what type of team Hibs are going to put out. Grant Murray, who's part of the backroom staff, has mentioned about the fact that they have been rotating the squad now the league is in the bag.
I think you know, all guys in there, obviously you can only play 11, but everyone will want to be out on that pitch on Saturday. You know, they've merited winning the league this season, they've merited, you know, walking up for their medal tomorrow, and they want to get their hands on that trophy and you know, celebrate in front of their home fans. So I think every player will want to be involved. Obviously that's difficult, but who knows, it's gave the manager an opportunity in the last sort of couple of games just to freshen things up and get guys in and youngsters involved as well. But you know, I think Saturday it's a big game. It's a big game for both clubs. Obviously St Mirren coming looking to, you know, get the 3 points which would keep them in the league. But as I say, you know, as a football player, you want to go out and win games of football, and you know, our guys will be no different.
Have they earned the right to tweak the side?
Yes, they have. You know, I mean, obviously he can do whatever he likes, but I don't think he will. I think he'll play his full strength, and everybody that's available, he'll want to finish the season on a high. He deserves that for the supporters who've been there. 15, 60,000, you know, so that is, I think you have to send them away with a smile on their face. They've got season tickets to sell as well. So no, I think that Neil will put out his best team. OK, we'll keep an eye on Wraith Rovers against Ayr United as well tomorrow. It's going to be nail-biting stuff. Of course, it's Saturday, and it's Helicopter Saturday. It'll be up in the air because in League 2 there's a title to battle for, and Arbroath have their noses in front, and Forfar are trying to chase them down. So here's a look at League 1 and League 2 for the Saturday for us. League 1, what's on offer? Airdrie Queen's Park, Albion Rovers Livingston, Peterhead Alloa, Stennismuir Brechin and Stranraer's Fife. And there's League 2 for you. Berwick Rangers Edinburgh City, Elgin Cowdenbeath, but Forfar against Annan and Stirling Albion against Arbroath. We'll be keeping our eye on that. Let's look to the Premier League in England. Of course, our main man down there keeping us abreast of everything is Ian McGarry. I caught up with him earlier. Of course, the main one is the people who are slightly peeved at the suggestion that Diego Costa is going to leave and join a Chinese club for money.
Well, remember the background to this, Peter, is Oscar left Chelsea in the January window for a staggering amount of money. Not the transfer fee. The transfer fee was around 42, which was a big profit for Chelsea, actually. But the players' wages are in excess of £300,000 a week. And Oscar's a decent player, but he's not £300,000 a week decent. And the offer that they're talking about now for Costa is in excess of £650,000 a week, and a transfer fee of around £75 million as well. Now, it will be difficult for Chelsea to turn that down. And I say that, you know, not tongue-in-cheek. Even Chelsea will sell at the right price. Of course, it'll depend on who they can get to replace him. But this has been rumbling on. A newspaper here has a picture of Costa meeting some Chinese businessmen in a well-known restaurant frequented by agents and football people in the last 5 days. And I can also tell you, Peter, and this isn't very well known, that Costa was offered a new contract at Chelsea, which was verbally agreed 6 weeks ago, for £240,000 a week, a new 5-year deal, so worth around £65 million over 5 years, and it's yet to be signed, despite being agreed. So in terms of smoke and fire, I think we've got both here.
Yeah, absolutely. OK, what about issues on the field of play as well? Never mind players, what about managers? David Moyes, we thought he might be going. He's staying at Sunderland.
OK, I think there are two sides to this, certainly. One is, I think Sunderland, they've been on the brink of relegation for the last, probably 7 out of the last 10 seasons, and they're used to staying up. but changing manager hasn't resolved anything for them. And so now they've gone down, and bear in mind, they go down with a £60 million parachute payment in the first year alone. So they're not going to be, you know, handcuffed or hand-tied in terms of trying to get themselves back up again, as Newcastle have. It's a good job. Sunderland's a very good job in the Championship. You know, they should come back up, and David Moyes, I think, since the Man United debacle, needs to rebuild his reputation. Obviously, had a few months in Spain, where it was neither here nor there in the end. He didn't leave them any worse off than he found them. But I think David needs Sunderland as much as Sunderland need him in terms of stability. And for David, it's a case of rebuilding his very, very fine reputation as a football manager.
Just to finish, Ian, got to get your thoughts on King Kenny. The centenary stand at Anfield is going to be named after the number 7. I think it's a fitting tribute. Yes, I would totally agree. I don't think there's any contention that he's Liverpool's greatest ever player. And probably their most decorated player as well. I think as well, though, the way that Kenny conducted himself throughout the Hillsborough disaster, and at the time and since as well, it has been a beacon of hope and light for the community of Liverpool, and certainly for the community of Liverpool fans, families who suffered as a result of the Hillsborough disaster. And I think to name that stand after him is a real honour for him, and also is a fitting tribute to a man who's contributed so much, not just to the club, but to the community as well. And that's something which, of course, like Glasgow, Liverpool have that in common. The football clubs are the life and soul, the heartbeat of the community. And so I think for Liverpool to do that is great. I did like Jamie Carragher's quip, though, about which one's going to be mine, because you can't change the cop. It's the perfect way to finish. Ian, have a great weekend.
You too, Peter.
Yeah, no worries about that. Kenny, as long as he's got his stand, I'm happy with that, Ruffy. Just before we go, guys, join us in STV2 tomorrow at 2 o'clock if you can. Here's our fantasy football that's going at the moment. You can get onto peterandruffy.com and take us on head-to-head. There's my front line. I'm a wee bit worried about that. I like the midfield and the back line. I'm ahead of you, Ruffy, 2-1 in this fantasy football league at the moment. Here's your choice, Ruffy. I don't know how you feel. You always go for Schmeichel, but your midfield area is looking good, but your front 3, maybe only one bit of quality.
Well, it's basically I run out of money. You know, I start with 100 million, and by the time I get to the strikers, I've got nothing left. So
Yeah.
I've got dross.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it in a nutshell. Or people who down tools when they fall out with the manager. Anyway, if you'd like to go, excuse me, head-to-head with us, then you can do. All you have to do is get on to peterandruffy.com and you can take on Ruffy and myself in the fantasy football. Thanks to Hugh MacDonald. Great that he was with us here on the show. Join us if you can tomorrow, 2 o'clock. We'll be on giving you all the latest news and the reaction to all the goals across all 4 divisions in Scotland. Thanks for watching.